Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the White Lotus. We know you checked out, but we're going to ask you to check back in for today and talk with us about the whole season because, as you know, we've been covering this season with Gina, and she didn't have an opportunity to chat about the final couple episodes. We also had Erica, who wrote into us when I asked people if they wanted to come and podcast. So we thought this would be a good opportunity to kind of do a season wrap up, talk about White Lotus season 3 in totality. And we will do that, but I do want to remind you all to like and subscribe. Also, go to dvrpodcast.com. You can find all of our podcasts. We just finished covering Severance as well as White Lotus. Tonight, we're doing a NFL draft live stream because we do have a show called Around the Couch about the NFL. And soon in May, we're going to be covering Duster on HBO, the new J.J. Abrams show with Josh Holloway, little 70s throwback, cool stuff, music, afros, all that kind of stuff. The trailer was pretty cool. We're going to be covering that. And we'll also be coming back and doing regular shows, just talking on daily DVR. So if you're a listener to this all year or all season, subscribe to Daily DVR. And I can never forget to say thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/DVR. We love you. You're awesome. All right, let's get to it. Hello, Jenni. How are you?
I am good. I am good on this Thursday afternoon. How are you doing, Axel?
I'm doing great. I'm wondering how Gina's doing. Gina, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I think I'm finally over jet lag, though I am
Oh,
still getting up at 5 in the morning, which is
oh.
probably a good thing. Like I can make use of morning times. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
That's awesome. And our newest podcaster here, Erica. Erica, how are you doing? Welcome. Maybe tell us how you found us, a little bit about yourself, whatever you want to share.
I'm good. Thank you. Yes, so I was listening to your podcast because I'm obsessed with the White Lotus and can't get enough. And I really enjoyed the way you all covered it and communicate with each other. And it was just relaxing and interesting. And so I wrote in because I don't really have a lot of people to talk to about White Lotus. So
Nice.
I need to get everything off my chest.
Well, you're here to do that. You can get it off your chest, and maybe Lachlan can give you a hand. But we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
no.
Oh my gosh.
later. Sorry, bad transition. As soon as
Drama.
I introduce you, I get into it. But this is a creepy show, so we're gonna get creepy. I do have actually a couple questions. One of them is creepiest moment. So we're here to talk about it. Gina, you didn't get to talk about the last couple episodes. How did you feel it ended? What are your initial reactions? Is there anything that while you were either listening or watching, you were like, oh man, I got to talk about this?
So yeah, I mean, I think the second to the last episode was probably the strongest one of the season. Um, I felt like it got everything to that, point where, okay, we're gonna unleash and kind of have a good conclusion. Um, so I know that I wrote in on the finale that I'd read a summary and that I found the summary of what happened disappointing. And I think, you know, watching it, it wasn't as disappointing, but I think it was very predictable. And I think the guest you had on to talk about the finale, I can't
And
remember her name,
And
Anne.
yeah,
She had said that too, that something seemed it just everything was predictable. Like I knew Chelsea was probably going to bite it. And I think I was so disappointed that she did because I would have loved to see her come back in a future season just because I love Amy Lou Woods so much. Um, I think a couple of the things that I read they left out of the finale could have and just even the show in general could have made certain endings a little more concrete. Like I don't think we talked about it, but I read that um Carrie Coon's character, her daughter on the show was actually non-binary. That was one of the whole things she'd been dealing with her daughter and her daughter's behavior. Like they called her a daughter, but in essence, her child was non-binary. I think that would have been an interesting thing to actually bring up in it. They ended up cutting it from the script for whatever reason. But I think it explained a little more, like they all kind of blamed it on her decisions. But if your child decides they're non-binary, that has nothing to do with your decisions. So I thought that could have been a little bit of more interesting lens on it, that she was actually dealing with real life problems, whereas the other two were, either very shallow in their Hollywood life or just very secure in their conservative life in Texas. And I think it would have made for a more interesting, just kind of dynamic had that come in between them all. I know you talked about it a little, but the whole Zion Piper losing her virginity thing getting cut. Now I have an idea of how this happened and why it would have. Of course, my dog comes over and is like, "You said my name." Because my dog's name's Piper. I think I could see this happening after he made the $5 million deal, him coming back with a lot of swagger, him saying, "Hey, I just did this," in a very Saxon-esque way, and her being like, "Oh, this is what my life is going to be now. I'm just going to fall into the footsteps of my mother and marry this, or hook up with these guys that make big deals and have swagger. And, this is like my future." And I think that would have really cemented things where Piper was going to be very far removed. Like we got far removed. She wasn't going to go to the temple, the monastery, honestly, after her night there. But I think seeing her lose her virginity to Zion in a way where she was just kind of giving into everything, like she was like going to be her mom 2.0, would have been a very final moment for her character of what the future for that character was going to be. So those were a couple things that, I wish had happened. I was very disappointed in Guy Talk. Um, I think he totally just gave up everything he believed in. I mean, honestly, I think everyone's ends were pretty disappointing. The only people I really have hope for are Tim, and Saxon, the father and the son. Like, it's true. Like probably the two biggest douchebags of
The
them
least
all.
likable people on the show.
Yeah, he's
I
he's
kind of
going
like that
back
though.
and going to deal with the consequences, the father is, of his fuck uppery. And then, Saxon, I wish I'd seen a reaction to Chelsea's death from him, but
Agreed.
I think he is going to, like, he was still reading that book or one of the books she'd given him on the boat out. And so I kind of feel like he's at least going down a path of curiosity that might be able to help change his life and get him through the shitstorm that's going to be
Yeah.
waiting for them when they get home. So
All
yeah, but I
right.
mean, I thought it was a fine ending. I'm just, deeply, deeply disappointed that Chelsea bit it. Piper, go away. Oh my gosh. She's like all over me, like,
Popper!
um, no, Piper, no.
No,
Um,
the wave's coming.
and I'm just trying to think, like, I wasn't surprised Rick ended
Tsunami.
up killing the guy and the guy was his father. Like, it was all a bit predictable Shakespearean in a way. And of course, Chelsea gets caught in the crossfire. And, I do think it's kind of bizarre that those three Russian guys are going to have no repercussions for that. Guy Tak not only went against everything he believed in to shoot and kill Rick, but he also didn't give up those crooks either. So he just kind of is like now on a path towards, he may have got the girl, but how long is he really going to be happy there? We'll see. So anyway.
All right, Gina. Anything good, Gina? Was there anything you
Oh,
really loved?
um, I mean,
Wah, wah, wah.
it was a fine finale. I just think it's hard to love something when it's like so predictable. Like I'm glad Belinda got her money. I'm sad she left her man behind. But maybe there's some kind of future for them. But I don't know. I think it was fine. I just think how many more, and we'll see what next season is, but it's just kind of like I feel like this is a lens of everything that's kind of happening in the world right now, where most of the crappy people are just getting away with murder. So it was just kind of a letdown. Like, I'm sure Mike White has many things he's trying to say with this, and maybe that's it. But do we need more of that? I don't know. So, I mean, the way it comes together is quirky, but I just, I don't know. Um,
Okay. All right. Erica, do you have anything to add to this? What are your reactions to Gina's feelings?
I agree. I don't know so much the predictability for me because I didn't expect the disappointment level because it was such a build and progress for nothing happening. So we're watching Tim this entire season wondering what's going to happen when his family finds out. We don't even get to see that. We have the robbery happen, episode 2. So much is around this robbery. Lori sees the jewels at the guy's house and doesn't even tell anyone. Nobody discusses what happens with the robbery. So I'm wondering what the point of the robbery was, except to have something to play out for Guy Talk's character to develop. So I agree with I agree it was, well, I don't want to put words in Gina's mouth. She didn't necessarily say it was disappointing, but I expected a better finale, and I was disappointed.
All right. I don't know. Jenni, how do you feel? Do you want to argue with him or do you want to agree with him?
I don't even remember how I felt about it after because we talked about it shortly after, and then it's like I agree with what you guys have said in that there was a bit of predictability to how things turned out. There were some weird wrenches thrown in here and there. We all thought that even the incest thing was going to happen. Like we predicted that as soon as the big first episode, And I totally agree with what you were saying, Erica. So yeah, I mean, I I don't hate this season though. I mean, it was beautiful to watch and it was interesting. And I was super disappointed in Chelsea dying. And I do remember saying that when we talked before, because that was my biggest disappointment. I mean, yes, it was predictable and I wasn't really expecting her to live, but I was hoping, I had my fingers crossed. I was like, come on, let her live, let her live. But of course they didn't. So, I mean, it's just, but I still appreciate the show for what it is. I am a little underwhelmed with the way it ended, though. I guess I would agree with that too.
Well, in the YouTube chat, Heath Solo says, I definitely did not like not knowing what happened to the Ratliffs and that kind of little thing. Well,
Hmm.
you know what? Oh, God. My wife is going to hate me for this. I hate to be contradictory here and disagree with you all, but I liked all these loose ends.
well,
I really did. Like, the more you're talking about it, I feel like you're convincing me how much I love it.
You're so funny,
I do
Axel.
think it would be fascinating if we saw someone like Saxon pop up in the next season and he's a hotel employee.
Well, that would be cool. And he's
You
got like
know,
long hippie hair, and he's like, "Yeah,
he's maybe
man,
found
come
the
on,
Zen.
peace,
I
bro."
think that could be
Right?
amazing. And I've heard rumors that it might be in Greece
Oh,
next
oh my God.
time.
I just wrote this scene. Listen, listen, I just wrote this scene, okay? A couple walks in, right? The guy is obviously like beefhead, thinks that he's like an alpha male, and the woman is like nice and just like a little bit like Chelsea, except the guy's not as nice as Rick, right? And they're walking in, and he's not even helping her with her luggage, all this kind of stuff. And then she like kind of trips and falls while he's talking to someone else, and he doesn't even help her up. And then you hear a voice, "Hey, can, how are you doing? Welcome to the White Lotus. And you look up and it's Saxon. And he's got that long hippie hair, right? And he's like all nice and helpful. And he's got a big smile on his face. Oh, man. And then they don't even mention anything about the other season until like episode 7. And then he was like, oh, yeah, actually, I went to the White Lotus in Thailand. Or, you know what I mean? Like, he's just
Yeah.
there. Oh, man, this got me
Like,
excited.
I mean, something like that. I think what was so surprising about this season is I actually started off just really detesting Saxon so much, and he's the one I now have the most hope for, like in the future. Like, I think he has the most
Yeah.
opportunity to kind of change and live a, you know, not a better life, but, be a better person. Yeah.
I thought it was
Mhm.
odd how tough Chelsea was on him because she's so nice and accepting, but when it came to him, she was just had no time for him or tolerance for him. And I don't know if that was written on purpose to make us feel that maybe sexual tension that they had in that second to the last
Yeah.
episode, where maybe there was something she was afraid of, so she felt
Mhm.
she had to push him, or if it was just Mike White thought it would be funny to have her just totally snap at him all the time.
I
But
just
some
Yeah.
felt like she
relationship,
was reading him for who he
yeah.
was, and she didn't have the time of day for someone like him. And then when he finally started asking her, she's like, oh, well, maybe he has a little depth or maybe he has
Yeah.
a little bit of character. And so she tries to show him, meditation or whatever. And she gives him the books because, yeah, he started to touch her hands or legs or whatever when they were sitting there doing the meditation. And she jumped up and then she gave him the books and he actually started reading them. And that also surprised her. So then, like, yes, maybe there was some latent attraction in there that she was like, yeah, but he's not worth it because he's like a
He's not
bro.
sad. He's not
Yeah.
sad
He's
Yeah,
enough
not sad
yeah,
like
enough.
Rick. I
Yeah.
can't
yeah,
save him.
yeah.
Well, that's what I was gonna
I didn't think
say.
he wanted to be saved anyway. He just thought he
No.
was the shit.
Well, but you know what? He did want to be saved, and I think Erica hit upon it. I feel like Chelsea, I actually feel like she recognized a bit of Rick in
Mm.
Saxon and the attitude. And I mean, come on, Rick the whole time was like, I'm grumpy man, I'm doing things. And she was like, come on, baby. Like she enjoyed that. Some people enjoy that in a
Yeah.
relationship, right? Like that's their dynamic, right? Like some people get off on fighting. Some people just want to get along. Some people like to be snarky to each other. So I kind of felt like she was comfortable talking to Saxon because she recognized him. And maybe there was a little bit of what you're saying, Erica. Like, I think maybe she thought a little bit like Rick, she could save him a bit, like, and guess what? She may have been correct,
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe her death, we forget about that too. He's reading those books still. And who gave him those books? Her, and
Yeah.
she's dead. So that's like a profound thing for him to go through. Like, do you think that that guy has ever really went through anything like that before? Someone he that cared about or touched and they died? That might be enough to change him. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah, I go
There's
back to that. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say there's something else really interesting if you compare Saxon to Rick is the basis of all of Rick's problems and grumpiness and ire was the fact that he never knew his father. Um, and never had that father-son relationship. And I'd almost say the father-son relationship that Saxon has with Tim, it's almost put him in the similar situation. It's kind of why he's the way he is and maybe not happy and fulfilled because he's basically just acting like his father's mini me. There's almost like no separation between the two. And so now that there's going to be all this, and he even said that to his dad, listen, everything I am, it's like I built it off the back of you and this business and everything. So I think there's an interesting thing that's going to happen for Saxon when he goes home. It's like there's going to be a separation, right, between them physically and potentially their, the paths of life too. So it's kind of interesting. She finds one guy that's, you know, so missing the father-son relationship and the other that may have potentially been corrupted by the father-son relationship.
Dads, they suck.
Not
They
all of
fuck it.
them.
They fuck everyone up. That's true. I'm a good dad, I hope. Until my son turns 18 and then he's like, fuck you, Dad.
You may not.
Your podcast is more important than me. Why don't you go talk to Gina and Jenni?
Oh, God. Yikes.
Don't you have a TV show to talk about now your own life, Dad? Sorry, I'm reliving my life before it even happens. That's good stuff. And see, isn't that cool though? Like that's what I'm kind of talking about is the more that we're talking about like the predictability, things that happened, being disappointed in people's actions. I guess you're right, Gina. In a sense, it's maybe like a little bit too much like real life. It's not as much of an escape. And I think that's something that this show reminds me of. Like I'm a fan of power pop, like really cheesy pop music that has deep lyrics at the same time. Like Jellyfish is one of my all-time favorite bands, and all their songs are like really deep. But if you listen to it, it sounds like kids' music, kind of like it's really overly rock and roll poppy. And I kind of feel like this show is like that, where you have this beautiful, all the beautiful shots, and it kind of lulls you into this feeling that you're on a vacation, but it's really quite the opposite, right? Like it's a deep examination of these characters. And oftentimes that ends in disappointment. Like that's kind of life, like you were saying, Gina, like in the end, a lot of times maybe he goes back. See, I was waiting for Mike White to really pull the rug from out from under us and to go to them on the boat at the end. And then Timmy gets a phone call and it's some guy on the other end. And it's like, Tim, he took the blame for everything. You're fine. You're off the hook. Everything's going to be great. And then him go like not know how, like kind of like the graduate kind of look, like what the fuck what do I do now? So, that's one aspect of it, but
I was hoping that too. And I also, again, speaking of sort of loose ends or issues, I know people had mentioned this online. Did Lachlan get medical attention? Does anyone find out the dad almost accidentally killed him? They just wrap him in a blanket and shove him on the boat, and nothing to see here.
You're okay. Sit next to Popper.
Is he just letting that again?
Yeah, it was quick.
Maybe it's the parent in me. I'm like, are we not going to make sure the kid's not going to have like a heart attack on the boat?
That's what I'm saying. We were talking about Jenni's infamous screenshot where you clearly see the three women like running for their lives, and we don't get any type of we get a quick shot of them sitting on the boat, right? Like they would be, if that happened to me, I would be, that's like PTSD. That's a horrific thing to see someone murders and then turns around and as you're running, the more gunfire and the guy, like 4 people die, 5 people die, right?
Yeah.
Wait, how many was it? It was 5. So that's I agree. That was a bit quick, but again, I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe some of these choices are not what we normally see in a show, and that's what I kind of appreciated, right? There's going to be more TV shows. There's been ones in the past. This isn't the best one that ever existed, but I do kind of enjoy that, doing something a little bit different, even though in the end, if doing something different is making some of the characters make bad decisions. Hey, Erica, were you as upset about Guy Talk and Mook and her kind of heel turn and his in the end being the chauffeur?
I have to admit, I wasn't invested in them very much. I didn't have much of a reaction because that storyline didn't really get me. So I think for Mook, if you don't like him the way he is, move on. Again, why are you trying to take the pieces of him that you do like and shove him into something else to make a man you would want to be with? Just cut your losses and go, girl. But I was disappointed. I was disappointed in his behavior. I thought again, those are sort of the things that made me not love the ending. I felt like it was very inconsistent with his personality.
Yeah, he did. He was talking all about the Buddha, and then all it took was kind of a look from her, and and somebody yelling, "Shoot her! Shoot him! Shoot him!" You know,
Yes.
and shooting him in the
Yes.
back.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, Lisa, if anyone could make you change your whole life, I guess it would be Lisa from Blackpink, right? I mean, she's pretty awesome. So
Oh, well, I saw that Patrick Schwarzenegger was at her concert or something, or when she was at Coachella or something.
Yeah.
And
yes, yes.
oh my God, I could not. Do any of you go to concerts and stuff? Like, would you go to like a big festival like a Coachella or something like that? Would anybody go to that?
Probably not.
I don't see a lot of people saying
I've
yes.
gone to concerts, and my husband's talking about wanting to go to this metal one here called Incarceration. It's at the old Mansfield Penitentiary where Shawshank was filmed,
Oh,
which is like an
wow.
hour away from here. But they
Oh.
have tattooing there too. That's why it's
Oh shit! Yeah,
Incarceration. It's at the
Oh.
prison. They do
that is
tattooing and
that
it's
is
music.
Okay.
wow.
So it's a lot. I'm old.
Yeah,
We'll see.
Yeah,
I
that's what I
think
was
the
gonna
last
say.
concert I went to was pre-COVID, and it was Neil Diamond with my parents and my sister. It was like a family thing. It was
Man.
great, but it's like,
Oh, I love Neil Diamond.
I'm not like going to Coachella or anything.
Yeah,
Right.
I
I
I
wouldn't.
couldn't
Yeah.
do it.
That's
Back in
too
the
much.
day, I would have. I went to the first Lollapalooza with Jane's
Oh,
Addiction
that's cool.
headlining, and then the
Yeah.
next year I got caught in when they're rushing the stage and had to like claw myself up on some dude's hair. So
Oh my God.
I feel like I've lived it, and now
Yeah.
I'm too old. Too old.
Yeah,
I'll
I
go to
was at.
concerts, but not stuff like that.
Oh, okay. If you're sitting down, maybe.
So,
Yeah, as long as I can rest my weary bones.
Yeah. I went to the Woodstock 25th anniversary.
Oh my
oh,
I was
gosh.
there.
I
Yeah,
remember
Oh
not the
that.
wow.
bad one where all the stupid
Okay.
shit happened. The good one
Okay.
with Peter Gabriel and like actually like good acts, not like Limp Bizkit and shit. It was awesome. Blind Melon, like crazy good bands were there, and that was actually a very fun time. Very
So,
safe too.
so I don't know if we talked about this at all. The fact that
Oh yeah,
Leslie,
we're on a podcast. I forgot.
well, the fact that Leslie Bibb and Sam Rockwell have been partners for 17 years.
I
Yeah.
think that we
Yep.
did mention it
Yep.
at
Did we
one
mention
point.
it? I must have been out of it
Yeah.
or not on it. I listened
Yeah.
back to the podcast, but I didn't hear us mention it. But
That's
Maybe we
awesome.
didn't, but I thought we did. I remember hearing it, and I thought one of you had said it. Maybe
See,
it was Heath.
you never know. People, it can work out. Not everyone has to be J Lo and Ben Affleck, right?
Right, and they didn't get the jobs because of each other either. They auditioned separately.
yeah.
Neither one of them had put in it was just one of those things. So
That is
That's cool
pretty
since they were
awesome.
over in Thailand for so long. They probably
Right.
at least got to be together.
God, yeah, it
I
takes so
was
much to shoot these things.
I was thinking today that Rockwell's speech, that one mid-season, the speech, the monologue,
Yeah.
I had told Axel this before, that I felt like it was so Deus Ex Machina, like he just needed that in there. And then today I was thinking, I don't know if you guys remember Designing Women, how the
Oh, yeah.
creator of the show would use Dixie Carter, Julia Sugarbaker, to make her speeches. She'd make it part of the show what her opinion or what she wanted to say, and make it as if the character was giving this big monologue all the time. And that it reminded me of that. I did feel like, and then when he showed up, when they got together later and then they were partying, I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe this will make more sense. But it wasn't enough of an appearance by Sam Rockwell to make me feel like that speech wasn't a little dropped in.
Yeah, I could see that. But it was so good.
It was
Sometimes
great. It was great.
sometimes you kind of have to do that, like it is a theatrical presentation, right? It's kind of like an aside or something in theater
Yeah.
where it comes off a little bit differently, but I mean he really rocked it out. And then it was kind of funny. The scene that would be, if I would have to pick the funniest scene of the season to me, is when they were pretending that they were the producer and director and trying to say like, "Oh yeah, that movie, your movie I saw."
Oh, that was
That was
ridiculous.
for me, that was the best part. And then he starts drinking, and then you know, oh shit, it's on. That was like the funniest part. But he's so great, Sam Rockwell. He really just always seems like a dude just hanging out in front of the camera, and he's done some great stuff.
Him chasing him in the hotel in his leopard underwear to the elevator was, I mean, that's amazing acting. That was hysterical.
Well, anything else that we wanted to kind of rehash from this season? Anyone have any favorite moments or characters or any points that we wanted to bring up? I don't know, Jenni, you got anything for us?
Well, when I
Anything you were
had my
thinking
notes
about?
up, and I just happened to see that Monk's name, the LPT, as I kept calling him because I don't want to mispronounce it. And I was thinking while you were talking, and I was like, oh, his little his monologue or whatever, the couple of them that they did where they were putting different scenes in there, and also the one when the one I was immediately thinking of was when he was talking to Tim. That was really, really interesting, and I felt like those were amazing scenes and probably some of my favorites, which is weird, but I thought they were very interesting and moving, and I liked how they used, his little teaching, like I was saying, where they would put in all the different shots, and they have him like narrating over the scenes, but not
Yeah,
really narrating what's going on, just talking.
yeah,
So I don't know. I really liked that.
yeah. Well, the Buddhism stuff was great. We don't really get that.
Hmm.
We don't get that in a lot of TV shows, even if that's what it's about or it has that kind of message. So I thought and that was great casting as well,
Hmm.
as we
I
said.
know we all thought he was a monk or
Yeah,
something, actually.
Yeah, I do think that weaving in the Buddhism to this season actually did probably give it more depth and more structure than previous
yeah,
seasons. Um, Maybe that's why in some ways some of the characters were so much more disappointing because there is a tone of striving to be something more in a way, and
right.
so many
Yeah,
of them just weren't more. But
didn't make it there.
yeah. Um yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's that was what was okay for me. Is I kind of like that message because people don't, it's not a sitcom. I mean, we all grew up with, like Facts of Life or Different Strokes or some shit where there's a problem and it's solved by the end of it. And
Mhm.
kind of a lot of the problems weren't solved by the end of this season. Maybe new problems came up because I was thinking like even Guy Talk, when you were mentioning that he knows that those guys are stealing, right? Well, a logical thing is if Mook keeps pushing him and it's like, okay, you got the job, now I want a house. All right, now that we got a house, I want to travel. I want another house. I want a kid. I want another kid. Like she wants this big life, right? She has aspirations. And then the next thing you know, he's making deals with the Russian guys and they're stealing from the lady now who's alone. Maybe Valentino or something romances her. I'm getting into this. And then we've got a whole nother thing going on. So that's kind of what I like, that you can kind of play with it like that and different
I,
things can kind of happen. Not everything is happy.
I was
It
actually
can get a
thinking
little creepy.
she might find her way into being Chloe's new best friend and somehow hooking up with Gary Gregg, who has
Oh,
all the
there you
money.
go.
Like if she's
Oh
gonna ladder
yeah.
up.
Yeah, Gary Gregg could get involved with it. I dig it all. I dig it all. Overall, I think I had a lot of fun talking about the show. The cinematography and everything was beautiful. I do for next season, I think that upon reflection, because I was thinking about this, we're going to talk about this again. I want to try to kind of challenge the one thing I had, which I was kept on saying, well, it's not that nothing happened, little things were happening as it went along. But I think if enough people say that, right, that it is good to spice it up a little bit, maybe next season, or maybe have a little bit, some more characters that have a little bit more oomph to them, or a little bit more engaging, because there were a lot of laid back people this season too, right?
Yeah. Probably the most interesting character for me was Chelsea. Like she had the most energy and kind of bubbly personality. I do think it was a hard season without someone as big as Jennifer Coolidge in it, who is just
Yeah.
such a presence and larger than life, you know?
Mm.
I was so disappointed when they killed her off in season 2. I was
Mhm.
just like, what's going to happen? And that's in some ways why I was really like, maybe maybe it's going to be a prequel to even season 1 and we'll still get her. But, they could always do time jump around with future seasons as well. So you never know.
That's true. She also provided a kind of humor to it too,
Yes.
and
Mhm.
absurdity.
Yes.
Mhm.
That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of what was missing. The other seasons had a little bit more, even what's his name, Murray, the guy from Looking, who was then on the Last of Us, he was a little bit absurd. You know what I'm saying? Like his character and everything. They had that a little bit with the Julian guy, but that didn't really pan out too. Even his musical performance, I barely remember it.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
mean,
that's a little more absurdity too would help.
you could say Parker Posey is a little bit that, but she
That's
wasn't
true.
as big as Jennifer
Yeah.
Coolidge. And maybe that's because she was in more of a family dynamic, whereas Jennifer
Yeah.
Coolidge's character had just been,
Off the
on her
rails.
own. Yeah, off the rails, on her own, doing her
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's a great point. That is a
And
great point.
Parker Posey didn't have much in the last 2 episodes. So
Oh,
I was really disappointed because I felt like that was missing. One thing about her character, Victoria, that one of my favorite parts of the show was despite how wacko she is in the lorazepam, she has mother's instincts, which she knew her daughter. She knew one night in
Yeah.
the monastery
Yeah.
would do that.
that was
And
That's
then
brilliant.
true.
her dream, the dream she had where it was Lachlan in between 2 hotel employees. So she had this tragic dream and she dreamt about the child that ended up almost dying.
Mm.
Another thing I loved was that the quilt she was wearing, the white duvet that she had that they wrapped around her, that's how Quinn went to the beach. When the sisters kicked him out in the first season, he was wrapped on the
yeah,
beach
yeah.
in that white
Yeah,
duvet.
that's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
And
really
then
good point.
Lachlan was the youngest, like Quinn, who was with her. And I don't know if that was on purpose, but I loved that underneath
Mhm.
all that, she is still such a mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty
Well,
funny.
that's good acting. She's fantastic. She's been doing it so long. There's a depth to her performance. And Lachlan too. That kid was great. He had us guessing. Hey, Gina and Jenny, remember when you were talking about he was going to get back at his bully brother, and then in the end it's just
Yeah.
like I just wanted them to be happy. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I
Yep.
wasn't trying to be creepy, bro. I just wanted you to be happy, and I don't really understand sex. I'm young.
I
You know what I mean?
really
Like that was interesting.
I
I don't
really
want
thought
anyone to
he
be
was
left
worse than
out.
he was, I guess. He still was pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
I,
That
I still
was.
think that's
This
not
wasn't as devious
normal.
as I thought.
Oh, no, no.
Oh
Thank you,
no,
Erica.
it's
It's
not
not
normal.
normal. It's not
No.
normal.
I
That's
think
what he said. He's
No,
still
no, no, no.
messed up. He's
that's
just not as devious
Super
as
messed up.
I'd put on him.
You should know better at that age, right? Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I think honestly, in today's day and age, you should know better at like a lot younger.
But
You
with
need to
him,
talk about that
but
kind of
to
stuff.
his
But
point, he did say, he has a family of narcissists and they all
yeah,
just expect him to cater to their needs, and they probably always have. Now, yes, still fucked up as all get out, but like, yeah, I mean, he he doesn't know where to draw the line, apparently.
Yes. And that's not uncommon. I mean, I'm thinking about when I was in college at 19 and the things that went on between people and boys and girls and all that shit. And I was like, stuff happens that you don't understand. And it was obviously it wasn't good for them and all that. But in a sense, though, it did wake Saxon up.
Yeah, it did.
It did wake Lachlan up in a sense, right? Like, I guess it was kind of a bit like fuck around and find out, right? Like, oh, you want to, right? Like, you want to play games with with me, and you're the big bro and the jerking off in the bathroom and everything. Well, this is what happens. I was gonna say I'm not gonna. Okay, I'll leave it there. I was gonna.
Well, I was
say,
I
but
was
you
just
know what I'm
gonna
saying?
Yeah, and I was gonna say what was so weird, not necessarily weird about it happening, but I think from the very first episode, the three of us were getting incest vibes
Yeah,
from those
yeah.
three. There
Mhm.
was just something there. You knew something was
Saxon
gonna
to
happen.
Piper too.
Right. The
100,
Saxon was
100%.
whole
inappropriate with
thing
Piper.
was
Yeah,
odd.
yeah.
So,
Flowers
Well, I
in the
guess,
attic.
yeah. Oh my God, my
I
mother
was
was obsessed
literally
with those
thinking that
books
the
when I
other
was a kid.
day.
Yeah, oh my
So
God. I
funny.
read those too. I read when I was like 14, 15, I read
Oh,
all
dude,
those
I read so
books.
many VC Andrews
So
books.
oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
good.
And then like Lifetime did a couple movies and they were not as good. They were
Oh, no.
toned down. It
Yeah.
was not. It should have been high camp and like really but no, they should have gotten a better director for that. But anyway, that brother relationship, they both ended up learning something. That is one thing where they both kind of came out learning something, you know?
I
And
think so. I don't know if Lachlan, I still think he's got a rough road ahead of him. I don't think
yeah,
he's okay.
I would have to agree. He still
Hopefully
doesn't know
they
whether he's
pumped his
going to Duke or
stomach.
UNC, you know?
I know. You
Yeah,
know what? Probably neither, because there's no money left.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
I think he
But you
was
know
going to
how
take a
they
gap
are
year
out there.
anyway.
Oh man, that is kind of, I hadn't thought about Piper's turnaround too. Like, I thought about it more from Tim's perspective of, okay, I'll add her to the list now. She doesn't, like she disappointed me in not wanting to go to the monastery because, like I was saying before, it wasn't that bad. Like, literally, you
Right.
got
It
your
really
own room.
wasn't.
It was not bad at all. And that food wasn't that bad. It looked good. It looked like it was good, healthy food. Like that was, and I think that was on purpose too. But the thing about, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought. When I can't remember what I was going to say
Piper.
about Tim. You're right, about Tim and Piper, and I don't even remember what. I still can't remember.
I'm
Somebody's got to
sorry.
Yeah.
jump in.
That's okay.
Um,
I was
you were
disappointed in
disappointed in
her.
Piper.
Yes, I was disappointed in Piper, but I didn't think about it from the perspective of her brothers and the reaction that they might have, but then also the reaction that she's going to have to finding out that her newfound love and acceptance of money is going down the drain because, like you said, her parents are going to be broke. So I'd
Yeah.
never considered that while she's sitting there on that boat going back thinking, oh man, I can't wait to get back to the air conditioning and right? Like, whew, I don't have to go to that Buddhist temple anymore. And then she's going to be like the most upset, right? Like Lachlan might be a little happy, like, oh, okay, dad has fallen, bro has fallen, right? They'll leave me alone.
Yeah.
Saxon's reliving. But then what do you think about what's her
What's
name?
Victoria
Victoria.
gonna do?
Victoria.
Do you
Yeah.
think
I
she'd
don't
leave
know.
him or do you think she'd
Is she
stay
gonna
with him?
off herself?
She has a
Honest?
trust fund. She totally has money squirreled away. I bet. I think she's
Probably.
going to be fine. If they're as wealthy as they're making them out to be in this show, there's no way they don't have their special trusts and loopholes. I don't
Their
think they're just
Cayman
stuck all
Islands.
their money in a Bank
Yeah.
of America account and called it a day.
Right, but if he has to go to prison, she might leave him if he really does have to go to prison,
That's
because
what I
that's going to
see.
tarnish
Yeah,
their name more
I
than
wonder.
the divorce will.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think she'd try to keep the family together, or she would just take it and run? Maybe she probably would be fine and just
She would probably find
run around.
another rich man to marry,
Yeah,
Yeah, I think she
is what I
would.
assume she would do.
yeah,
She
that's
might go
probably
back and
true.
hunt down Gary Gregg.
Yeah, I was gonna say she might get a LBH.
Yeah. Oh, Thailand wasn't so
All
bad.
right. Well, all righty. All right, we had a good chat. Is there anything
Nothing
else
came
you
of
want to chat
her.
about?
Nothing came of
Oh,
her. Remember we took note of how she seemed to be fluently speaking Thai when she was ordering food early on, and nothing came of that either. And Gina, we talked about how nothing came of the whole thing with her and what's her name?
Kate.
Kate. Yeah.
Kate,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
other loose threads. I mean, maybe we'll see Parker Posey again, which on this show, which I would be fine with. Maybe she is back with
Yeah.
a new man or something, or
Oh,
like a recovery vacation from all the drama with her
yeah.
husband,
She's live, laugh, loving over there. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? She's
Eat, pray, loving.
eat, pray, loving. I'm sorry. She's eat, pray. But that would be cool. She's the new Jennifer Coolidge, and like that
Maybe.
we saw the backstory of how she got like she's like I got money, or she's a little sheepish about it, but we know because we watched what happened. But she's trying to do better with herself. That would be
Yeah.
interesting. She's such a great actress. My
It was such
gosh.
a it was such a missed opportunity. And I read this, I didn't make this up of my own accord, but the idea that since Kate knows who she is and everyone apparently was allowed to have their phones unless Pam was your like monitor at this place. Um like
True.
she could have read on the news, that the family was or he was under
That's
suspicion.
true.
Yeah.
That would have been a
That's
fun plot line. And again,
yeah, that
I
would
didn't
have.
make that up. I can't take credit.
No, I like
Um,
that because
Yeah.
it mirrors Greg Gary, right? Like Belinda recognized him and then someone recognizes Tim, and then it's like, you know what I'm saying?
yes, that would
That
have
is
been great.
interesting. Yeah.
Pam,
There's a lot.
when Pam took the phones in the bag, I was totally remembering Murray with the bag in the first season with all the drugs. And I just had this
Oh yeah.
idea when she took them. I'm like, these people are never seeing this equipment again. Like Pam's going to do something wacky or lose it. But I was wrong. So
See, that's my complaint. If I would have to say something that I would have liked more of the since it is like an upstairs downstairs show, I would have liked more of the downstairs and not just in relation to the guests, like doing their own thing. Like I like Mook and Gaita kind of had their own thing. I would have liked to seen something with Pam. I would have liked to seen more with some of the other people. Um, but you only have so much time for that. But I'm just a sucker for that kind of like Downton Abbey, like that upside where you see like the kind of the help and the people, like Below Deck, which is one of my
Mm.
favorite reality shows that I love watching. That's always Mike White would definitely go on Below Deck. That would be awesome. See,
That would be
that would be a
funny.
fun White Lotus is if they
On
did
a
it.
cruise ship, like a high-end cruise
Yes.
ship. Like
Thank
a
you.
White
That's what I
Lotus.
was
What are the
thinking.
cruises I'm kind of obsessed with every time I see them advertised? And they do advertise them with Downton Abbey. It's
Viking, is
I think it's the Viking
yeah,
cruises. And I
yep,
have a friend that's been on one and she says it's amazing. Like the food, the wine, it's like a small group of people, it's
yeah.
very like
It's not
she.
like a carnival cruise, it's like a
Right.
mid-sized
Is it like
one.
one of the river cruises
Yes.
in Europe?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Oh man, if
You have
I could
to
go on
send
a
me a
boat, I
link
would love
to
that.
what your friend was talking about, Gina. I would
I
love
Yeah.
to do one of
That's a
those. I
cool
know they're like
idea.
not inexpensive
Right.
to say the
Yeah.
least, but I still would enjoy that for sure.
I like that idea. A
I've
cruise
seen river
ship.
cruises in Europe on TV shows like that show them kind of
Yeah.
advertising for them, and it looks so cool to go
Yeah.
through the different waterways and yeah. Anyway,
That is
Sorry.
cool.
That's not what we're here to talk about.
No, but I like the idea of them being on a cruise ship. I like the idea of them being on like a private island that they can't leave. I like the idea of him playing with location a little bit more, because these are all kind of little bit similar where they can kind of leave and go into the local town or whatever. But it'd be interesting if they were like on a cruise ship, they couldn't leave. And that would be
Although
kind of
they
cool.
would leave and they did stop.
That's true. They could do
So
destinations. Yeah, I
yeah,
always forget about that.
yeah.
I've never been. Has anyone here ever been on like a big cruise or something like that?
Hmm.
I have.
You
No.
have?
To the
No.
Virgin Islands. That's
I
weird.
did a Mediterranean and an Alaskan that were big ones. Yeah.
It's like a whole town on a ship. They have theaters and casinos and dance clubs, and
Ice
it's just really
skating
wild.
rinks
Oh,
and
really? Wow.
Bowling
yeah.
alleys and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Spas. Yeah.
I don't know.
Like
That scares the shit out of me. I don't think
It's
I
a
could
little
get on.
the
weird.
one that had the skating rink was at the time, it was 10 years ago, but it was the one of the top of the Royal Caribbean's line.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
And it had the Central Park in the middle of it too, where they actually had trees and grass
Oh
and
my
stuff that were in
gosh.
the middle. And so there were balcony rooms on the inside too that looked down on the park, and then balcony rooms on the outside that looked
It's
out
wild.
on the ocean and
that
stuff.
is
That was
Yeah.
a
crazy.
cool ship. And they've got bigger ones even than that now, but
Yeah.
that was a pretty cool ship. That was our Mediterranean cruise.
Wow. Wow. That would be, that sounds super cool, but I also would probably have a panic attack from the moment it left
I would
the
too.
edge.
And then
Same.
the
I'd be
first time
done.
you get off, you're
Yeah.
walking. It feels really weird because
It does.
you've been walking on a ship
Your
that's
sea
going.
legs. Yeah, right. Your
It's
leg.
very bizarre.
What's even more bizarre is when this I noticed more in Alaska, and we were on a decent sized ship, but you feel more motion because the ocean is moving more there than other places I've been. The currents are stronger or whatever. So you're walking and you're just like you are walking straight, but you are weaving like you're drunk going down the hall because the ship is moving
Oh
so
my
much that you
God.
just cannot walk straight.
I'm
I
getting
mean,
dizzy just by you
Okay, we'll
describing this,
stop.
Jenny.
Let's stop. Let's
Like
stop.
I
okay, I'll
literally
stop.
have to put my hands on the chair right now. Oh boy. I haven't been on a boat in
Probably
like,
didn't help I was doing the arm motions and stuff too.
it was good. This YouTube is really bringing this podcast to life, I'll tell you folks. Yeah, I haven't been on a
Oh,
boat in like 30 years, but probably like 30 something years. I'm not into, but I love watching stuff on TV with boats. So I would love if this show was on a boat. That'd be very
I want to
cool.
see Victoria in like one of those white fur ring hats, like in the Alps. Like
yeah.
and the white boots. I can just see it.
That would be
I
So
great.
can too.
What's that Avalanche movie? And then they redid it with Will Ferrell when the avalanche is coming, and instead of grabbing his family, the guy grabs his phone and just runs away. I
I
can't
don't know
remember.
that one.
Oh, I
I
can't remember
don't
the name of
remember.
it. It's a great film because it's just like an exploration of one moment, and it's just a family, and they're in the Swiss Alps, and they purposefully frame the shot where you're like, holy shit, this is real. And then as they're sitting there, an avalanche starts, and everyone goes nuts, and the guy like grabs his phone and kind of shoves his wife and then runs down the stairs, and his wife and kids are like running after him. So it's similar to like White Lotus where it's just like one little event there, and then the rest of it is kind of like, did they really have a good marriage? They thought they did, but why would he choose to do that? By the way, Heath is in the YouTube chat, like with the
Hi,
lyrics to
Heath.
the Love Boat theme going on.
The
Um,
love
the Love
boat.
Boat
Isn't that like
Avalanche.
George Costanza-esque? The shoving, his family out of the way to go.
Yes, yeah. Oh, it's Force Majeure. Force Majeure
Okay.
is the name of the movie, and it's a comedy drama, but it's actually really good film. And then I think they redid it with Will Ferrell. I thought they did.
Oh,
With Oh, I can't find it. Anyway, yeah. Oh, it's called Downhill. Yep, with Will Farrell and what's her name from Veep?
Oh,
Oh,
Julia
Julia
Yeah,
Louis-Dreyfus.
Julia Louis Dreyfus. Yep,
Wow. Y'all couldn't have purposely timed that better.
that was good. She would be great on this show. No,
Oh, yes.
that's
Mhm.
casting right there. Okay, last question before we go. Who should Mike White cast on the next season of White Lotus? We're going to start with Jenni since she's drinking something.
No, you're not.
No, we'll start with Gina. Gina, you go first.
Oh,
That's
I
our last
mean,
question.
I'd
Anyone.
love to see Parker Posey back. Um, I'm trying to think of like who would be who are some of the up and comers. I think it could be, I don't know. I need to think about it more. That's not an on the spot question thing
Oh,
for
okay.
me.
All
I'd
right.
I
love to
know I'm
see,
like trying to think
actually,
too.
I'd love to see like Melanie Linsky maybe
Oh,
would be
okay.
good.
Great
Um,
choice. That's
you know,
perfect.
if Yellow Jackets doesn't have a fourth season, I guess. I'm trying to think of some other kind of over the top people. Keep going. I might have some other
Okay,
ideas that
that's a
come to
good one.
me.
That's a good one. Anyone else got one? Erica, you got any?
Yeah, I don't remember his name, but the guy who played Parker Posey's husband on Best in Show. Remember they both had the braces. He is an actor who's in a lot of things, but you don't really notice it. I'll look up his name.
Okay.
But I
I
could
think I know who
see,
you're talking about.
yes, I bet I'd like to see more of him because everything he's in, even though again, you don't even remember his name and he doesn't stand out. He's
John Michael
hysterical.
Higgins, you mean?
Is that
Is that
him?
was that the one who played her husband?
Let me look. Michael Hitchcock is his name.
Oh, Michael Hitchcock.
Yes. And he's in a lot of stuff, but he's
Oh
not.
yeah.
Yes.
He's great.
Everything he does, he plays it perfectly and sells it and totally commits. So I could see him in it.
I like that one. Yeah, he does a lot of work, a lot of
You know
those
who else could be good? Dan Levy. Like
Oh,
you
Okay.
mentioned,
yeah.
you mentioned Best in Show, which got me thinking about the parents that were also in Schitt's Creek, but he would be good because can be so dramatic.
Yeah.
I could just see him being like a rich snob. Because he kind of was a little
That
bit
would be fun.
great, but he would be really fun.
That would be very good. I'd love even like a crazy big star. It would be cool to see somebody jump in there, even like a Jennifer Garner. I think she could be really good in a show like this and kind of like revitalize maybe a little bit 'cause she does a lot of like family stuff. I think she could play a good role in this. I like
Oh,
to
I
see
just
kind of
thought of
like
somebody.
against type that you wouldn't
Finally thought
expect
of
in something
somebody.
like this. Oh, who?
I think her name is Michelle Dockery, the one that played
Oh
Lady
yeah.
Mary in
Oh
Downton Abbey.
yeah.
Yeah. Yes. We
Yay,
just
me,
saw
I thought of
her.
someone.
That was really good. She was just in that Marky Mark Mel Gibson directed Flight Plan. My wife and I watched it,
I
and she
watched a
was
series that
fantastic.
she was in that didn't get renewed. It was only one season and I enjoyed it. She
Yeah,
played
she's
like a
really good.
pickpocket or a
That's good.
thief. It was good.
I like it. All right.
Yeah.
Any final? Well, the final one I would say is Heath Solo on the next season of The White Lotus. That's our
Oh
fellow
yeah.
actor podcaster there, Erica. One day you may
Oh.
meet him, but he's in the chat right now saying uh the Love Boat, still with the Love Boat lyrics. Um, oh, he wants to go
Those
to
are good.
Mexico and the Caribbean he said he's been on a boat. Well, this has been very fun. I like this podcast. We were chill, we were chatting, talking to each other, listening to each other, going on journeys of discovery. It was just like the White Lotus. It was Erica, you
Just
did
like it.
You did a great job, Erica. You were
Yeah.
jumping in, you were talking. Let's give
Oh,
Erica a round of applause for her first
thank you.
podcast. Awesome
Thank you.
job. You definitely got to come back. We'll be chatting. We got to do
I'd
like
love to.
yeah, we got to do some more different shows. Oh, I thought Jenny was going to say something, but she's yawning. All right. Jenny and Gina, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Just before we go, since we're already recording, are you going to watch Next Gen NYC? This is a Bravo show, Erica, a reality show with the children of all the Bravo people. Any interest in it?
I
I
don't
don't.
Oh my
know.
I
gosh.
don't
Not
think
seeing a lot of
so.
interest.
I,
Okay.
I
All right.
don't
I,
think so.
I mean, it's got one of the Marks, the one that's the designer, Mark's kid, Meredith
Brooks.
Marks's. Yeah, Brooks.
Oh,
Brooks.
Brooks is
Yeah.
on it?
Yeah,
Yep.
Brooks is going to
Brooks.
be on it, and they
It's
said
Brooks,
Chloe will be on
Gia.
there occasionally
Yeah.
too,
Yep.
but I don't
Yeah,
know.
All the kids.
I'm not a fan of Gia. I do enjoy Brooks. I don't probably I might watch an
Okay.
episode, but I can't
Okay.
see it being something I
When is it coming out?
It's coming out like June. So see if you watch it.
If you
Another,
remind me, I'll at
okay.
least check out an episode.
I will remind you. Another reality announcement. Did you
oh,
hear that they are doing an entire season of Below Deck with the cast of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
a
What?
whole season or a
A
whole
whole
episode?
season. A whole season. They're doing a special, it's like a 6 episode special, like kind of
Oh,
like Girls Trip, but
Oh
it's
God.
on the Below Deck ship with Captain Jason, the hot captain from Australia or New Zealand.
That's the one. Okay, so they're probably filming it now because Captain Jason's season is on
Yeah, yep,
now. So this will
yep.
be next season. Is that the one where they're actually having the really great chef come back? He was like
Yes,
their
Ben.
rich. Yes,
Yep.
Ben.
Ben's coming back. Yep.
Yeah.
Little reality
Okay.
chat here.
I did.
Okay.
Okay. Now I get it. Oh, I saw Mary standing with them, but I didn't realize in
Yes.
a photo, but I didn't realize it was going to be a whole thing.
Well, let
So
me know when that
excited.
is too, because
Okay.
I'll have to
That's
check
going to
that
be
out because
wild.
the Salt Lake City ladies are there, and I don't want
Yeah.
to miss out on whatever their drama is.
It's going to be very
It'll
fun.
be a nice
Very
entry
fun.
for me into Below Decks too,
Called
since
a
I haven't ever
nightmare at
watched it.
sea. Oh my
And
God.
Right?
and
has,
I do yeah, I know, right? It will be a nightmare. Can you imagine Mary on a boat? I can't.
Oh my
I
God.
cannot
I
because she
love Mary
can't
so
go
much.
anywhere.
I can't wait.
It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing.
That'll be
Um,
very entertaining. I mean, I hope it doesn't ruin Below Deck or like crush the souls of the poor Below Deck workers.
I don't know. They've seen some bad people come on those boats, like some selfish, crazy people. I think they'll have some fun. I think there'll be a hookup or something like that. Maybe with Heather and one of the guys,
Probably.
one of
Oh
the deck
boy.
mates. Yep. Another
Captain
thing
Jason.
is there's a very good I'm on a reality kick now. I can't stop. Everyone wants to leave the podcast except me. Next up is there's a great show on Hulu called Got to Get Out. And it's like half House of Villains, little bit of Big Brother, and all the whole show is this. They're locked in a house. Every so often they get a message saying when it hits $200,000, the window in the green room will open. And they have to run as fast as they can down a driveway to get through a gate. That's the entire
Oh
premise
boy. I
of
don't
the
know.
show.
that
So
terrifies me. I'm claustrophobic. That is,
yeah, I know.
no.
And some of them do get claustrophobic. They like can't leave the house. But if they
Ugh.
run, they get through the gate, they'll win the money. But then they're running, and then all of a sudden the gate starts closing. You know what I mean? So they have to go back. And it's just like Omarosa is on it, like
Oh
it's
Oh
like
God.
God.
villainous people, like, and she's so
Wow.
annoying. But it's very fun to watch, so I would suggest that to you. That was good. And another one, $1 Million Secret on Netflix, where there's a briefcase. It's got $1 million in it, and it's passed around to different people who then have to pretend like they don't have it. Because if they're caught with the money, then they lose, and
It's
the
like
other
hot
person gets the
potato.
money. Yes. That show was actually
Wow.
very good,
Yes,
and that was good too. I've been
Potato,
building a
hot
lot of
potato.
Lego, so I've been watching a lot of
I
reality
see.
shows.
I see.
Have you
just-
watched
Well-
Instant Hotel?
Oh,
Instant Hotel. It's from, I don't know, 4 years ago, but
Wait a second, I think so.
it's in Australia, and it's a competition who has the
Yes!
best Airbnb.
Yes!
Isn't
oh,
it?
that sounds cool.
Yes, Lachlan and I watched this. My son and I watched it. It was great. I loved it.
Isn't
I
it
hope
great?
comes
What's it
back.
called?
Yeah.
It's
Instant
called
Hotel.
Instant Hotel. And what would Babe and Bondi, those two are just, remember the
That was
mom
really
and daughter? That they're so bizarre.
What streamer is it
I don't
on?
know.
Do you
I don't
know?
remember. I just
Gosh.
remember the concept now. I watched so many reality shows, but I remember that show. That was good.
Maybe
Lachlan liked that
Hulu?
one.
Yes. Yeah, that was
Check there first.
that
And
was
they-
fun for the whole family.
That one might have had different versions from different countries. I think there may have been like an Australian and English. Like I think
I
there
saw
may
the
have been different.
Australian one.
Okay. I think there was an English version too.
Oh,
Where
really?
they did this, where it's a competition of Airbnb, like you make the Airbnb and you try to make,
Y-
right? It's
yeah.
like you try to attract the most people in a certain amount of time, I think. Is that what
This
it was?
one was the contestants went to each other's and voted, which is kind of weird because why
okay.
would you want to vote for someone else? Like
I
if
think
you
I
trusted them to be honest that they liked it or not.
And didn't that become part of the show where people were like, oh, you're just not voting for this because you don't
Uh-oh.
like the person or you want to
Yes.
win?
Yes.
And then, okay, that's interesting. All right.
Yes.
Cool.
But yeah, Instant
remember that
Hotel.
show.
That was I think I've watched it like 3 rounds, I have to admit, over and
Reality
over.
TV, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And I did actually
Dance
get,
Moms.
oh, no, oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like, whew.
That runs a lot at my house.
That was say I got Keith to talk about 90 Day Fiance because my wife and I were binging the latest season, and I don't know if you've ever seen that show, but this is a great season. They had great casting, and it's actually fun to watch. There's this guy named Sarper on it, and he just wants to kind of be like a star, and he's this huge Turkish guy with a lot of plastic surgery,
Oh my
and he's
God.
hilarious. And he lives in Heath's neighborhood. He's seen
Oh.
him walking around, and I'm so jealous. I want to move out there to NoHo and hang out and
That's
see him
funny.
walking around.
I
So
mean,
good.
I'm not
That's-
watching any reality TV right now. I'm just watching, well, except for Below Deck. I'm just watching Handmaid's Tale, which I think I'm going to wait to podcast
Oh,
until the
yeah.
season's over, just because it's nice to just kind of watch it without feeling a lot of pressure. So I think I'm just going to watch the season and then I'll arrange folks to talk about it on the podcast.
Cool.
And
That's
You
awesome.
is back for the final season. It just dropped today.
Yeah.
I don't know if
saw
anyone
that.
watches You,
I
but
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I love that
That's a good
creeper.
one.
Let's see how he ends.
Handmaids, you know what? Gina, have you started watching this
I
season yet?
have.
Okay.
Yes.
You said you. Okay. I think that this is a very good season
It
to
is.
do after it's over because it really has like 2 plot lines going and it's
Yes.
very consistent on that. And I it's like other seasons have done almost like what we've talked about, like pods, like 3 or 4 episodes are about this, and then a new thing kind of comes,
Yeah.
right? Like this has that a little bit in the adventures that, June is going on, but it has like a consistent through line,
Yeah.
which I'm finding I really, really like this season.
It's been really good so far without all the emotional, I mean, with a lot less emotional turmoil.
Yes,
Like you're
yeah.
still worried at points, but it's not like you're just watching people be brutalized
That's what
nonstop,
I
at
was gonna
least so
say.
far.
It's like less
That was my
torture
problem
porn,
with
you know?
that other 1923 this season. I told Axel it was so hard to watch because everything was just people being brutalized or
Ugh.
it was just awful. And I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, the season wasn't bad overall where the story got to, but like having to watch some of the things, like it was so heavy.
Yeah.
And that's what I find with Handmaids a lot of the time. I haven't started watching it yet. Sorry,
Well,
I had
they,
a bunch of other heavy stuff to watch, so I was
Yeah.
putting it off a little
Yeah.
bit.
I think
There's-
they've done a good job this
Yeah.
season of keeping it mixed.
Good.
There's
good.
something that happens at the end of the first episode that I've honestly been waiting at least 2 seasons for to
Oh,
happen.
cool.
So I was very
I'll try and
excited.
start it soon so I can chat with y'all
Yeah.
about it.
Erica, you a Handmaid's Tale watcher?
No, I read the book. I can't. It's too upsetting.
It's
I
very
can't do it.
hard.
I'm watching Hacks. I can handle that.
I
So
want to. I keep on telling my
I've
wife
been
we have to
watching
watch this
Hacks too.
show because I've heard such good things, and I've heard that it really evolves and changes over the seasons.
Mm-hmm.
And I love shows like that where it's almost like a different show. The characters move to and do something. So I've heard there's a lot of character evolution in that show too. Would you say that?
I think so. I think the dynamics shift and change for
Mhm.
sure. They're doing it now where they're doing one a week, but the show's only a half hour long. So to drop one a week and then you watch what 28 minutes and like you have to wait
Yeah,
a
I
whole other
usually try
week.
to wait till
It's
I
like the
have a couple of
80s.
them to watch before watching them. So
Yeah.
I think I'm at least one behind, but I'm not in a rush to watch it.
Cool.
I'll probably wait until after the one this week to watch the one from last week.
That's what I think
But
because
it's really good.
it is really good. It's but like you have the right idea about it
Yeah.
because I think it's again maybe our attention spans are changing because yes, that was the sitcom back in the day, but
Mm-hmm.
you're just kind of getting into it and then it's like okay, you have to
Yeah,
wait a week.
yeah. You get into your viewing habits, and the good thing is you can make that choice. Like with Gina, like oh, I'm gonna. Some people I know so many people who wait till the end of seasons of shows to watch. I was just
The
talking
whole
to my friend
thing.
Aaron about that Lord of the Rings show, and he's like, "Oh, I just watched the whole thing over the weekend because I waited, and
Mm,
then just watch it because you're into it." And you do remember, you know what? You remember things better because,
yeah.
like, how many times back in the day were you watching a show where you were like, "I better watch the like previously on because I don't fucking remember what
Yeah.
happened," you
Yeah.
know? And
Right.
then
True.
meanwhile, nowadays it's like 3 years in between a new season of some show. Like with Handmaids, I had to go back and rewatch. A lot of times I'll just rewatch the last episode. Like
Mm,
I've done that before too,
this show
especially with
Andor,
Handmaids.
yeah, the show Andor, the Star Wars show, which is really good. It's like I don't think I know Gina and John. I don't think you're big Star Wars people, are you?
I
I
watched
like
Watch
them when
it,
I
some.
but
had Disney, but I don't have Disney currently, and I don't want to pay for it for
yeah.
just the little bit of
Yeah.
Star Wars that I watch. I don't
Well,
have
this
little
one is like
kids.
the adult one, right? Like it's
Yeah, I
really
remember
good.
I liked
Yeah,
the first
Adult
season
one?
of it.
yeah,
It's an
yeah,
adult.
yeah.
I
Most
liked
of
the
It
first
the
really
season of
is.
it, but I
It,
haven't seen I obviously since I don't have Disney, I haven't seen the next season.
I love how you
um
laughed at that. That is very good. High five on that. Yes, it actually is because Star Wars is for kids. I agree. This
No, I'm
actually
laughing
is.
because it sounds like it'd be on a different
Oh,
channel.
oh,
You
you
oh,
mean
said
the
the
adult
adult
Star
adult.
one?
Wars.
Wow,
Chicka
chicka
bow
wow
That's where
wow.
I
wow.
was going with that.
Oh, this is coming back to my
Oh,
original
wow, and
joke
now me
here.
and
I like
Gina in
Oh
this.
boy, I
unison. You did
know.
that with
This
both
is
of
a
us tonight,
callback. This
Gina.
is like an hour and 40-minute callback to a dirty
Oh,
joke at the end. I like it. See, I thought you meant because also like a lot of people do like all this stuff is now like, it's like people, like our age and they're like, oh my God, I love fucking Star Wars. What did they do? You know what I'm saying? It's like, no, it's for kids. But this actually is like, has real kind of adult drama. And I think for all of this stuff that they've done, and the director Tony Gilroy, it's like really good stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. But then again, I don't remember anything that happened on the previous season. I have to go back and watch the last episode and everything. I just remember it was really good.
one
Hopefully,
other show to watch. If you haven't watched it, and I lied, I had been watching reality TV. Love on
oh,
the Spectrum.
oh yeah.
So good.
Oh, you
So
watched that
such
too,
a good
Erica?
season.
Yes, I've watched that one, yeah, as
Yeah.
well. I was crying. It was
I know.
So
That's why I
sweet.
see
in
my
a good
wife,
way.
we
Yeah.
watched that and then we kind of stopped because it was like it just gets, you know what I'm saying, you do have to be in a, sometimes it's light and fun, but then sometimes it's like heartbreaking and heart-wrenching,
Yeah.
and it's so beautiful though. What a
Yeah.
great show,
This season was a really good season in terms of a lot of great matches. So
Good.
that's a
All right.
spoiler, but it's just they're so cute. I mean, oh my
That's what I
God.
want to see, though. I want
Yeah.
to, like, that's
Yeah.
okay with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's not like a regular dating show where I kind of like the drama when they don't, oh, who's this asshole? You know? I want them. I don't kind of, I really want them to find love. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're so cute. You know, with that though, I will say I kind of do favor the Australian version of that because there's
Uh,
the English and the Australian. I
yeah.
don't know why,
They
but
only did 2 seasons of the Australian, and this is the third season of the US
yeah,
cast. And it's, you've got a lot of familiar faces,
yeah,
which is fun. So
that's true. A lot of
Did you guys
dinosaurs
watch
too.
that? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, I just said a lot of dinosaurs too.
dinosaurs.
No, it's always like he likes dinosaurs, right?
I
Like
don't think there are as
he
many
doesn't like.
dinosaurs this
Oh,
season,
okay.
to be honest.
The dinosaur one was a fave of mine. What were you saying, Erica?
Did you guys watch that show where it was a sort of a spoof of The Bachelor? I'm trying to remember the name of it, where
I watched the first
Oh,
season with my
um,
it's one word. It's
it's
driving me nuts. It's like forever.
Unreal.
And
Unreal. That's it.
Unreal.
Yep.
no, that's not the one I'm
Oh,
thinking.
it's
It's not
not.
Unreal? Wait a
No,
second.
there's another one. I'll have to think of it or
Oh,
look it up.
wait a second. Do you mean like the really comedic one?
It started out comedic and I thought, oh, this is funny. It was about the producers who are doing the show and the people behind the scenes. And but it was
Unreal
scripted.
was one,
It,
and
okay, it
then
was, yeah, I'm
Oh,
sorry. I have to look it up. But it was it started out, I thought, oh, this is going to be really funny. And they're sort of going behind the scenes of how they're scripting the show. And but then it turns out really like
dark.
upsetting.
I feel like
Yeah.
that's Unreal,
I think
unless
it
there's another
is.
one.
I
Mm,
think it is. Do you
maybe.
remember who? I think if you looked at a picture of it, you might see it. But there was another one they did where it was I think it was like Adult Swim or something like that, where it was like a more of a comedy.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but I think the one you are talking about
It is Unreal. You
is
guys are
yeah,
right.
yep.
I'm
See?
thinking what the name of the show was. What did they call the fake show?
Oh,
Anyway, yes, so that's it. Did you guys enjoy that? I thought it started out, I thought it was gonna be really funny, and then I'm like, oh my God, this girl's life is
so,
horrifying.
so I watched the first 3 seasons and I thought that's where it ended. And then, like a few months ago, someone's like, "Oh, there's a fourth season," and I was like, "What?" I haven't watched it yet, but I thought it kind of ended with that third season. Maybe they came back years later, but yeah, it got kind of dark.
It
That's
was
what
really
I've heard.
dark.
Yeah,
That's what I've heard
Everlasting, that
about
was
it.
the name of the fake
everlasting.
show. Everlasting, that's what I was
Everlasting.
thinking of.
Nice.
Well, I
But
think the person really worked on the show. I think that person who wrote it, the woman who
yes,
wrote it, worked on The
yes.
Bachelor. I mean, that show is, I've seen every season. Well, no, I didn't see the first. I may have watched it with my wife at some point, but that was actually like our second date or something like that. We watched The Bachelor together.
Aw.
And that was like something that brought us together, watching trashy TV. It still does. Um, and it's gotten a little bit better, but man, when you read, there's another woman who wrote a book about it, like a kind of journalistic exploration of the whole Bachelor and Bachelor culture and everything. And, they just recently they brought in these Canadian people and they were like, the Canadians are here, everything's going to be great. And then it got worse behind the scenes. And then they fired them. And so they're bringing and canceled The Bachelorette. And now they're bringing back like some other people to do Bachelor in Paradise. I can go on and on about The Bachelor, but it's a fun show. But you know what the problem with it is? It's not aspirational anymore, right? Like the original
Mhm.
premise of The Bachelor was you marry a prince, right? Or you marry a millionaire or a football player or somebody who has a job, who can take care, like, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to worry about shit when you're with this dude or woman. But now it's like the last guy, you know what his job was? He was a day trader.
Mm.
That means that he's at home on his computer trading
In his
stocks.
mom's basement.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's not really a job. That's
Yeah.
kind of like it is a job, but it's
Or
not
they're an
really a
influencer.
job. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. They're an influencer. Yeah. So Bachelor could come back.
Bitcoin
I could do a whole pod
representative.
on
Yeah.
that.
A Bitcoin day trader,
Dogecoin or
that's even
whatever.
worse.
Oh God. Please take me now, Jesus, take me now. All right, let's end the pod. This has been wonderful. Jenni's got some fam coming over, so we got to get out of here. Have a good night, Jenni. Have fun.
Thanks.
All right, Erica, you did an amazing job coming on the pod for the first time. We're definitely going to have you back. Gina, it's been wonderful to welcome you back from your trip, getting over your flights and your time changes and all that kind of stuff. We didn't get, maybe on another pod you can tell us all about your journeys and what
Okay.
wonderful things you saw.
Yeah,
But for
definitely.
today, we shall say adieu. And I will be back podcasting in 2 hours to talk about the NFL draft and my New York Jets. That should be very fun. It'll probably be a different vibe. A lot of dude stuff. We'll probably be wearing hats again. Heath will probably have some kind of like University of Miami headband on his
Nice.
head, which I'm guarantee he'll be wearing. But
Yes, I've
before,
seen him like that.
yes. Until then, thanks everybody.
Thank
DVRpodcast.com. Let me
you.
do the double stop here. And I should say, Jenni, would you like to say anything before we go?
No, I'm good. It's been
Okay,
great
Gina.
chatting with y'all.
Very good.
Okay. Erica, any final words?
No, just thank you so much for having me. It's been great.